Welcome to Data Security Over Coffee. That's DSOC to those in the know.
Where the only thing more dangerous than a zero-day exploit is Chad from accounting clicking on every single email attachment.
From password post-its hidden under keyboards
to that one guy who keeps using password 123 despite our 47 security memos. We're here to talk about the threats you never knew you should be terrified of.
I'm Dr. Joe Harford.
And I'm Angie. Have you tried turning it off and on again? Singer Keating.
Bringing you the latest in cybersecurity nightmares and risk management drama.
Because somewhere out there, a hacker's trying to get into your company's data.
And Karen from HR just clicked on another free iPhone pop-up. This is Data Security Over Coffee, DSOC, where every episode is a penetration test you didn't ask for. Jason, welcome to DSOC 2026. Look at that happy smile. I have to say, when you were in the green room, you did not react the way most people do. Like they laugh at Angie's little jokes and her squirrely little voice and all of that kind of jazz. I was kind of disappointed, but you did enter the film frame with a very handsome smile. So thank you so much for being with us today.
No problem. It's a great intro. I really liked it. I like all the soft jokes because they're not just one-sided. If you're in this industry, they go a little bit deeper.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, they do. Yes, they do.
And clearly we have no HR department because they never would have approved that opening.
No, and HR stands for human resentment anyway. So we'll continue to move forward. So Angie and I are happy to have you, the first DSOC of 2026. Angie and I are up about, this is our 25th anniversary of being in business. It's hard for me to believe that she decided to put up with me for 25 years of her life. And you'll notice in that other video, I had a lot more hair. She causes me to lose my hair. So that's why, I'm kind of a little bit less shaggy than I was before. But enough about us. Jason, for the 281 people that are currently watching on LinkedIn today. And Angie's always jealous because she doesn't have a dashboard.
No, there's actually 5. One's my mom. One is Abby, our marketing person. And I think 3 are employees that just want to win brownie points with us.
Don't listen to her, Jason. She's wrong. Believe it or not.
You didn't mention the dog.
Exactly.
Well, Joe's farting dog is in my office.
Your office, yes. So Jason, who are you? Where do you work? What do you do? And what are you doing here?
Well, my name is Jason Teliszczak. I'm the CEO and founder of JT Environmental Consulting. I am here today because I know you guys for so many years, worked with you guys for so many years, been on committees with you guys for so many years, probably written papers with you guys at some point. I don't know. We've done a lot. I think I did one of these like a year or two ago with you guys. We're just really good friends in the industry because 1, we're cool people, and 2, we actually know what the heck we're talking about. And that's hard sometimes because it's really frustrating when someone's like, well, I've been doing this for like you guys said, you've been doing it for 25 years. Like, that's obviously amazing. But there's other people where you're like, you meet them, you're like, how have you been doing this for 1 year? Like, how are you still around? Like, I don't even know. So it's a big deal.
It is a big deal. And we appreciate your friendship because you are, I don't know if you know this or not, but we have given you the designation of FOR, which is Friend of Reclamere. That's a pretty high award and honor. You're going to be getting a shirt in the mail. Yes, you're going to get a badge, a shirt, all that kind of jazz. So yes, you will be awarded, and you will be receiving a save the date card for our 25th anniversary celebration in May of this year. So we super excited to have you travel all the way from Orlando to Pennsylvania. So the marketing people, which is the Yazoo group, very happy to work with Yazoo. They want us to talk about the relationship between ITAM, IT Asset Management, ITAD, IT Asset Disposition, and cybersecurity. It came up in a conversation Angie and I actually had at the end of last year, trying to talk about and come up with a marketing calendar of activity for 2026. and I think she would agree. Hopefully, she would agree. I don't want her to disagree this early on in the season. That there still remains a disconnect between people that work in IT asset management and their understanding and responsibility in the world of risk, as there is when you talk with risk managers and their lack of understanding or connection to those people that are in IT asset management, who's actually dealing with the disposition of IT infrastructure equipment. And so we thought it'd be a really good opportunity, since both you and Angie are very smarticle. That is an Angie word, smarticle. Look it up, you can spell it, and really talk about it. So let's get started. First of all, is there a relationship between risk and IT asset management? And what do you want people to understand about that relationship?
Definitely is. Just the word management's super important. You're managing these devices, you're managing this system, you're managing your environment that you're in. So it's really important that with anything that you do, you inevitably need to think about risks. When you drive your car, do you put your seatbelt on because it's fashionable, because it feels nice and comfy? No, there's a risk there. I don't want to die today, or I want to be less injured if there's an issue. So, not enough people realize that you can't put seatbelts on everything in life. And if you're not going to let people know what's going on, especially, you said a great thing, ITAD and ITAM. So you might have someone that's working ITAD, has their blinders off. Hey, my job is to pull these hard drives. And that's all they're doing. But if they don't understand the management part of why am I pulling these hard drives? Why do I matter? Why do these hard drives matter? What's the big picture? Then they're only going to go so far. And if they mess up, it could be disastrous. And they might not even tell anyone until management actually finds out, because they're looking at the risks. Hey, we had 100 hard drives. Now we have 88. Those other hard drives are pretty important. Oh, why? Because they had pictures of my kids on there? Yeah, that's pretty important. But no, that one was from a government. This one's from a bank. This one's from a doctor. Then we got problems. We got big problems.
Yeah, I think the foundation of cybersecurity, the foundation of IT asset management, and the foundation of IT asset disposition are all the same thing. They all start with an accurate inventory. And I love your analogy about, we all analyze risk every day. We put a seatbelt on, those kinds of things. We decide whether or not to drive on an icy highway or stay home, those kind of things. But we also know what we put in the car. We also have buzzers that light up and tell us if we've left a child in the car or there's something in a seat. The seatbelt light lights up. And we don't have that in a lot of organizations when it comes to just basic inventory. Something came into the network. Did it ever go out? Something left the network. Was it ever properly inventoried in the first place? A lot of the risk that we take on in IT asset disposition is the faulty inventories of our clients. We work under the assumption that every load of material that comes to this building for disposition, that our client knows the serial number of the device and the serial numbers of every single hard drive that's in it. And under the assumption that when we send our inventory reports to the client, our certificates of destruction to the client, they're going to do a one-to-one reconciliation and be able to say, hey, Reclamere, we sent you this device with 5 hard drives, and it's not on any of your reports. The issue is that most of them don't have accurate inventories to start with of what came into the environment. They have even worse inventories of what goes out of the environment. And so in the very rare event that a client turns around and says, hey, something's not on my inventory report or my certificate of destruction, if they don't have an accurate inventory to begin with and it went somewhere else, it's us proving a negative. And that's where all the security controls come into play, where every single time that has ever happened in 25 years, which I think I can count on one hand, we have security footage, we have logs, we can go back 120 days from the minute that equipment left our client and got processed in our building to say, no, in fact, you did not send that device. And so we would really love our clients to have that kind of inventory. But then the same thing happens on cyber incidents. When clients don't know what is on their environment, they can't secure it. But I tell you what, once the bad guy gets in, somebody clicks on an email and starts pivoting around your network, they know the devices to go find. So if you don't know it's there, you can't apply the security controls to it to properly protect it from the bad guys while it is in that active part of the life cycle. So all of it, every single one of it. And you can speak to this better than I can, Jason, as an auditor who works with clients that are under many, many different audit criteria and many, many different frameworks. Every single one starts with an asset inventory, every single one.
And that's why you have all the redundancies that you mentioned too. Like, hey, I have a list. Okay, well, the list doesn't check. I got a video. Okay, let's look at the video. Okay, that doesn't check. What about the report from when we received it? So yeah, I mean, the redundancies are there not just to prove everything's squeaky clean. They're there as a backup system, and they need to be there because life isn't perfect, things aren't perfect, and the redundancies are there to help the situation. And that's frustrating too, where someone might say, oh, I have a camera system. And then you go, okay, let's pull it up. And you look and it's like pointing at a tree and you're like, when's the last time you looked at this camera? Or you pull up and they're like, oh, that one's not working. And you're like, well, did you just figure that out or did you not? And I'm glad you brought up the point of auditing because, always fun stories. I probably have 1,000 of them, but you'll trigger something here and there. But I was auditing a client once and I was like, hey, you have a security alarm. And they're like, yeah, we even have this emergency buzzer. I go, have you ever used it? And they're like, no. I'm like, when's the last time you tested it? And they're like, never. I was there for a 3-day audit. Never. They pushed it. No one ever notified them. No one ever called them. Cops didn't show up. Audit ended on a Friday. I said, hey, I'll give you a report on Monday. Give them the report on Monday. And I said, hey, have an action item here. I don't know how to respond to this finding. What happened with your buzzer? Did anyone call you? Did anyone email you? No one contacted us. And I said, so you're calling a new company today, right? And they're like, yep. So you have to test what you have going on too, because even if you think you have all these redundancies, it doesn't always mean that they're going to work or that they are working or that you even have access to them. That's always great too. Well, we got this fantastic camera system. I don't know how to get in or I don't know how to use it. So it's like, ugh.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story. Back in the day when it was still my responsibility to do the periodic testing of the security cameras, there's one in the back of our building that always gets spider webs. And one of the scariest things, I logged in, looking at this, everything looks fine. There's a little wiggly web. All of a sudden, the spider comes in front of the camera at the proper distance that it looked like something from Arachnophobia. And I let out a scream. I was so happy to get rid of testing the security cameras ever after that, because Joe knows I'm terrified of spiders. But yeah, I mean, the webbing across the front of that camera was always a problem. And so that testing was so absolutely critical. And that specific camera was on one of the doors that is in the backside of our building. And it was an absolutely crucial camera that it stay clear.
So if we talk about internal processes and what customers believe that they're already doing, especially when we talk about either the management or disposition, I think we would probably all agree that yes, you're talking about providing environmental compliance. We're not just simply dumping material. And you're also providing information security assurance, right? Okay. So I think Angie would agree with this. At least I hope she would. 25 years of being in business, okay? We will at least once a quarter for the last 25 years have a client say, hey, listen, I've got a box of loose hard drives that we took out of these old computers. We want you to destroy them and we want you to recycle the PCs. Okay, not a problem. And we talked to them about, by the way, we're going to do a screening of these PCs to make sure that hard drives weren't left on board. No. You don't understand, man. My IT guys got it. They got all the hard drives out. Okay. This is not anecdotal. This is data collected. Every time somebody has said that once a quarter, there has always been a hard drive left on board.
Yeah.
That's a reality. And that's I think going back to an earlier comment and talking about auditing, that's a failure in their own internal process. So right there, that creates risk. And so what we're trying to get people to understand, like Angie and I do a lot of work within the BDO Alliance with CPA firms around the United States. And you start talking to accountants about risk, or you talk to people that work in the banking industry about risk. They talk in a very different way about risk that never includes hard drives, IT infrastructure, lack of password management, et cetera. It's very, very strange. And so what I'm hoping is we can start to bring that conversation of a risk manager and either an IT manager, an IT director, or even a formal IT asset manager together to talk about, okay, you've got to include this equipment in that risk conversation. That's got to be part of your risk profile. Because guess what? If they left those hard drives in a computer and they sent them to a vendor that doesn't do screening like Reclamere screens everything that comes in here, guess what? That data is now out in the wild, man. Like that's a serious issue.
Yeah, for sure. And then the scary thing too is, let's just say that situation happened. Obviously, you guys are reputable. You guys are fantastic. You guys are NATE certified, so you actually have to check your employees. If you have the minimum wage worker, or you have someone that maybe they're out of college or an internship or something, they're not making a lot of money. So when they have potential access to data, that's like a golden ticket sometimes. And that's scary. And we want to believe that everyone's a good person, but everyone's not a good person, and life is hard. And sometimes people are looking for shortcuts, and they might make a bad decision for the shortcut. And that's really, really tough because, like you said, the data's there, and it just takes one little bit of information that's worth it, and then they're running.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the other thing, yesterday, Joe and I were talking with a company that's a logistics provider, and they're trying to, talk with us about, they'd like to do business with us. And they're talking about, the value of the freight. And it's like, this freight has no value. It is absolutely not. Well, how much insurance do you want them to carry? I don't know, a bajillion. Is that possible? Because that's what one single hard drive means to us and to our clients. That's what one single cell phone means to us and our clients. So I don't know how you quantify the financial risk. At least if you're our client, you have a little bit of understanding of, well, maybe this computer is a server and, you have 100,000 current patients and former patients or records you have to hold for, 10 years. Maybe you can come up with some kind of back of the napkin math of how many records might be on that. We're flying blind. I don't know how many are on any single given hard drive, nor do we ever look, except in the case of doing our sanitization quality control. And so it's the value of the data from a risk perspective is practically infinite. I don't know how to even quantify that to a logistics carrier to help them, understand why we only want to work with logistics carriers if they've got TSA cleared drivers that can literally drive on the tarmac of an airport. These are some of the basic fundamentals, because as I explained to that person, it's like, look, if something happens, I need to have a reasonableness defense. I can't protect from everything. I can't protect if that driver is under some kind of pressure, and never before in their life would they have stolen anything. But now, because of something, they're under some kind of pressure where there's a laptop that they can take to a pawn shop and they can ditch. Okay, now I at least made the reasonable effort of vendor due diligence to make sure that I'm at least working with a logistics company that has TSA cleared drivers. It's at least one little bit of reasonableness I've exercised.
Well, Jason, you made a comment about, what if you're working with somebody that's paying minimum wage or college workers or whatever. I think the bigger issue is, and it's really, I think, driven, and Angie brought this to my attention, it's really driven now by AI and the value of memory, right? Big space, big catch. So what about the conversation? Forget the people that make minimum wage. What about the conversation that you've got these pop-up vendors where they're going to do everything for free? I'm going to do your recycling for free. I'm going to do your data destruction for free. And they believe that they're going to make money on the backside of their model. That's a risk conversation that somebody has to have. And that level of due diligence has to be serious. You know, again, we go back to, I talk to risk managers on a regular basis. They do a really great job of due diligence on any number of third-party vendors that they're going to be managing and working with. I can tell you, because I have to deal with the customers and Angie has to do the documentation, the number of regulated customers that we work with that never ask for anything that even remotely looks like a due diligence package. They don't even ask for a report card and a letter from my mom, nothing. And so I think there is this opportunity, and that's why we wanted to chat today, of being able to bring risk managers and IT asset managers, people that are in that space, into a room and have a conversation about, listen, you've got to start to talk to each other and make IT asset management and disposition part of the risk profile. Because it's, you know, as well as I do, you know, you're moving thousands of hard drives at a time, thousands of pieces of equipment, all through the supply chain. To Angie's point, how are you picking any 3PL at all and loading a pallet? How do you know that all the equipment came back? Who's unloading that truck? Who's loading that truck, et cetera? Where's it? By the way, when you're sending 25 pallets of PCs from one point to the other, do you think that they're going door to door that day? Wrong answer. So where's the depot? What kind of security is in that depot for that equipment? So again, I mean, I get worked up about it, I realize, but at the end of the day, I mean, we've got to bring risk managers into this conversation about management of assets as well as disposition.
We're doing a lot of talk about the physicality of things, and that's so important. And I'm really glad you guys brought up the transportation, because I had a client the other day that was an issue. It wasn't going to door to door, like you said, Joe. And you don't know what happens at the transfer station. And honestly, I don't know why transfer stations don't try harder to prove that they're legit, to upcharge and actually have that business, because it is hard to get from California to New York in a straight shot. It really is. There's going to be some type of stop. So I don't know. Any of those people listening out there with a big check and want to start a new business, I'll help you. Do a transfer station that's legit, because look we need it. It's not there. So, I mean, you're right. It's just thinking about things before they happen, doing a little bit of planning, not being reactive, like, oh, we lost the truck again. Well, don't let it happen 3 times. How about never? And plan for it ahead of time. Think about the risks ahead of time, and that'll help out a lot.
What ideas, if any, do the two of you have when it comes to getting risk managers to come into the room and have the conversation about IT asset management and disposition? And again, I think the three of us agree that the days of fear, uncertainty, and doubt are gone. People are tired of being freaked out. You know, they don't want to hear scary statistics and, oh my gosh, this is going to be a resume generating event and all that kind of nonsense. Like, people want to have a business conversation. Angie often talks with both our team as well as clients about business impact analysis. What is the impact on your business when it comes to risk? And going beyond just simply saying, oh my gosh, we're going to be down for a few days. Okay, that's an impact, but on the business itself, what does it mean? What does it mean to your customers? What does it mean to your vendors? What does it mean to your community? Like, there's a bigger conversation. So how do we have that conversation with risk managers where we can bring them in, remove fear, uncertainty out, but have that conversation and get them into the mix so that they really start to ask more of the Reclameres of the world, hey, wait a minute, I need you to complete this due diligence package, and I may even need to visit and audit your facility. How do we get them into that conversation?
I mean, it really goes back to the planning again. You know, are you going to do a monthly meeting? Are you going to do a lunch and learn? Are you going to do a table talk? Are you going to show an example? Yes, anything and everything you can do so people are more aware. And that is the biggest thing, is the awareness. Is I can audit a company and I could be in a little room and I could say, oh, they got the procedures. I could walk around, everything looks great. But when I actually interview people and I say, do you know what you're doing? And they'll be like, no. Do you know the big picture? No. And like, to your point, Joe, the business. Okay, if you guys shut down for a day, are you getting paid hourly? Because you're not going to get paid if they're shut down. And then that's going to be a domino effect for your family and your home life. So there was one company that was really cool. They had like a little ticker, almost like the stock market. And it showed the commodities moving in and out, and it showed their profitability for the day. And it was really cool because for you, the business part, you could be like, okay, we made 30 grand today. Tomorrow we made 15 grand. That sounds pretty good. And obviously over time, that's going to be a lot of money. But again, if you stop making the money, it's not going to be just zero. It's going to be negative. And that's what people don't get, is if you're closed for a day, you're not just zeroing out like, oh, we broke even, it's a 0 day. No, it's not a net day. You're at a loss. You're at a big loss. And you're going to keep that big loss going. It's going to be, you're going to have to crawl your way back up to 0. So, I mean, that's the business part.
Yeah, I think that's also one of the reasons why we always, when we do our business continuity and disaster recovery planning with our cyber clients, we really encourage them to include one of the scenarios being a lost device. So many of them, they want the kind of scenario that they see in the news. Oh, we're down with a ransomware attack for 5 days. And I mean, that's great. And we do those all day long. But IT, especially in the mid-market where we work, IT staff are already incredibly resource constrained. They have, on one hand, they may have expert engineers, but those engineers don't necessarily have cyber or risk experience. They may have cyber experience, but there's not on the GRC side. So there's all this kind of combination, but they're resource constrained. And so, one of the things that when you do a scenario of a lost device, how that takes this already constrained group of people who have to now drop everything and figure out where this device came from, what department, what person used it, what type of data did that person who used it access? Did they download spreadsheets that had test results from a company like maybe LabCorp that had 5,000 lines, which every line represents a patient? Those are all of the kind of things that then go into the analysis. And it's not like CSI where somebody's going to push a few buttons and 47 minutes later, we're going to know what happened, what the records are. Does it fall within the OCR's threshold for how to notify? All of those kind of things. That it doesn't happen that way. So you're already taking people that are overwhelmed and now you're piling this on top of them. So I don't know how to quantify that from necessarily a business perspective, but I do know that while those already resource constrained IT people are diverting their attention, that's when things happen, like logs get missed, alerts get missed. And that's when it's a field day where whatever bad guys may already be in your network moving around, your IT folks have their eyes off the prize of their normal work day, keeping the bad guys out or preventing all of these bad things from happening, because they're scrambling around trying to, sift through other types of logs looking for what device is missing and what could possibly be on that device.
Jason, how long have you been in the industry now?
I think 2003 I started my business. So we're
Okay.
over 20 years. We're hitting 25 soon. We're not as
Okay.
cool as you guys, but we're getting there.
Okay. So,
he started the business when he was 12, by the way.
because he's smarticle. See, because he's smarticle. That's why he did that.
That's
Yes.
funny.
Yes, he is.
So, obviously, you've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, right?
Yeah.
So, how would you, from your experience, how would you describe that IT asset management vendor, IT asset disposition? How would you describe the kind of company that you would want to work with? What would either the description, what they have in place, how they behave as a business, what do they look like to you? If you're a person who's in need of the service, what are you looking for? What are you expecting?
So usually you want someone that's certified because you don't have to guess as much. There should be some oversight there. They're independently looked at. Now, I've seen certs be faked. I've seen companies have a nice front and then you go behind the scenes and it's Wizard of Oz and you're like, really? This is bad. This is real bad. But I did want to piggyback on what Angie was saying, and that's like if there's a company where they don't have the capabilities to barely run their day-to-day and then something actually happens. If you go into a company, usually that is certified, and you ask them, hey, what do you do if there is a problem? And they have like an incident management team, or they have a group of people that can pull out of the normal day-to-day and actually analyze what's going on and try to figure out what happened and look at those risks, look how to mitigate them, look how to fix the problem. And I'm not just talking like, hey, we fixed it today, let's get back to the business and make money. Like, we want to correct this issue for the long term. We want to look at the root cause. We want to make sure that it doesn't happen over and over and over again. So it's really interesting when if a company engages with me and they say, hey, we want to bring you on, we want you to help us out, either if they're already certified or they're looking to gain a certification. I can usually look at their website. I can look at, I kid you not, their Google, I guess Google Earth isn't really a thing anymore, whatever map software I want to look at, to see how their facility's laid out, and just talking with them. And then if I get a little sampling of their documentation, you can really tell walking in, okay, this is going to be good. They need a little bit of help. This is why they engaged me. This is great. Or you can say, okay, it's smoke and mirrors. And they're just playing the shell game and they're just here to make money and they might not be around for 2 years or 5 years. And it's really easy to see that based on how they run their organization. And it's the people there too. Like I was at a client's facility the other day and people weren't really interacting. And normally that's a bad thing.
Oh yeah.
Because if I don't see people interacting, it makes me concerned that they're not a team and they're not doing everything. But in this day and age, hey, we can be at a computer, we can be engaged more than we think. And then so I made that comment and then I asked, hey, who do you talk to? Who do you report to? What's going on? And it was just one of those where the company had figured it out. Every person in their role was really good and they were doing it independently and they would engage and they would talk to other people. It just wasn't the old school verbal. They'd be sending an email. They'd be sending like a message with whatever application they were using. And then I got to talk to one of the gentlemen and, you guys talked about AI real quick. This guy's like, yeah, I've been writing this software. I'm like, that's amazing. Like, can you do this? Can you do that? He goes, yeah. I go, so did you go to school for this? How are you doing this? He goes, no, I know about coding, but thanks to AI, I'm just dropping the codes in. And this guy's making his own spreadsheets, his own software, and it's making the company run better because now there's more oversight. And people, like to Angie's point, they're doing their job and they're focused. So they were running more efficiently because they did have back-end people watching everything more. And it was really impressive.
Hey, Jason, you know what we learned makes people really focus?
Uh-oh, here we go.
Time.
Go ahead. What is it, Angie?
Time. I'm going to guess time.
20% profit sharing makes people really focus.
Wow.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's
you
pretty
you didn't tell Joe, though. Joe's just finding out right now.
I'm just finding this out for the very first time. I don't think I'm
this is my pet peeve of business owners. When I get this, we can't find anybody that'll work. Nobody wants to work. I mean, we've always had great people, but when we implemented profit sharing, there was a whole different level of quality and performance. When we took our profit sharing and moved it to 20%, it is off the charts the way our folks are engaged. And we pay higher than our competitors. We give people a lot of freedom. We give people a lot of autonomy. We can do all of that because we have the security controls in place that nobody needs to manage by walking around to see if people are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And so, that's one of my big things right now is there are people that want to work. You just need to run a business in a way that is profitable to the point that you can compensate them a living fair wage with good benefits, and they'll work their tail off for you. Our company is absolute proof of that.
So in getting ready to wrap up our first DSOC for the year, what advice do you have? And it could be how you bring a risk manager to the table. How do you get an IT manager to have that conversation with somebody in risk to get them more educated? The advice you want to give to somebody when they're selecting an ITAM, ITAD service provider, or just maybe the risks that you want people to be thinking about as they enter this year in this particular area. So I'll open it up to the floor. What advice on whatever topic? And then maybe it's one that I didn't list, because Angie will often go off script. She never listens.
Jason, you're the guest, so you get your choice of either having the first word or the last word on this.
I was going to say ladies first, so let's stick with that. So that makes me last.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like a broken record.
You do. You are.
You can't manage what you don't know. I mean, it's just the fundamentals of having a really good asset inventory. I don't care if we're talking about cyber risk. I don't care if we're talking about IT asset management risk, ITAD disposition risk. You can't manage what you don't know you have. And so if there's any initiative in your business that maps to every one of your contractual obligations, every one of your frameworks, every single one of the federal and international regulations and frameworks, it is absolutely have an accurate, complete, verified asset inventory.
That's good. Yeah. You said we're wrapping up, so I should go quick. It's like the clock.
No, you've got time. I control the button when it goes. We get launched back into the green room. So you're great.
He knows I get wordy. So that's why he says make it quick, and so you take all the time.
I was waiting for him to hit the button for the CSI theme song though when you were talking about that. I like felt.
Oh, next time.
Yeah. All right. So Angie, thanks for going first. To go further on what you said, I really like how you said global standards, because we're all in America. We don't just deal with American issues. We deal with global issues, and data is the easiest thing to travel internationally. You click a button, you say a word, boom, it's everywhere. Thank you, Internet. So data is everywhere. Now, the people that get material because they're an ITAD company where they might be going through some materials and recycle and whatnot, they don't know where their material is coming from all the time. And it could be global. And they have to adhere to standards, not based on where they're at, but based on the material. So that's super important. I would say the biggest change I've seen in the industry over the past 5 years, hard 5 years, maybe a little bit more, and we didn't even touch this today. Like it could be a whole nother session, is when companies get their assets and they put their digital fingerprint on it and it's MDM, or it's locked down by Apple or Microsoft or whoever, people don't realize how deep that is, where they might say, okay, I'm an ITADer. I've got this software, it wipes all these hard drives. It's great. This laptop looks great. It's shiny. It's new. We're going to resell this. We're going to resell this hard drive. And then boom, hey, I just got a notification that laptop that we paid you for is firing up in Saudi Arabia. What's up with that? And the client goes, well, I used a wiping software and the thing said it was clean and I put a whole new operating system on it and this and that. People do not realize how deep and embedded that is. And I hate to say this, the big companies of the world are not doing that because they want the businesses to say, wow, that was really great how you had that fingerprint on there. No, they don't want the reuse game. They want you to keep buying new products. So they're going to be really good at messing up that product so it can't be reused. So that's the biggest thing I think that people should be knowledgeable about, is that you can have all the physical things that Angie said. You could be squeaky clean, literally perfect, but there comes a point where if you don't know what you don't know, you need to have an IT guru. You need to have a great representative with who you're working for, your consultants, or a B2B that actually knows what they're doing, because you need to make sure that you do not cause a situation or that you're a part of a situation, because that's going to be horrible.
Angie, I know you got something. I can just see it, like you're parsing your lips, like you're just like there's something there. You just want to let it out. Do you want to let it out? You want to say something?
No, that was a super hot take. That really is something that I don't think enough organizations think about until something happens where they get that call from a client. Like, why did a laptop that I sent you for destruction and disposition fire up in Saudi Arabia? Yeah, absolutely. And it's the same, and it does, and it's the same thing with networking gear. People think, well, it's networking gear. What kind of data could it have? Oh, Lord, it has a whole lot of really, really sensitive, important data on it. And so you better make sure that that network infrastructure is cleared just the same as your hard drives and all of that, phones, tablets, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, super, super important. I mean, like that tip right there was worth the price of sitting through, me and Joe rambling and our bad jokes. It was excellent.
See that? And your free tip from Angie's perspective, when we start talking about business impact, Angie and I have a partner that we work with. They're nice people. And they decided last year in June to do a software audit. A software audit, go back to Jason's world of auditing. What is all the software that you have in the environment that you are paying for that you don't know about? What do you mean, Joe? Well, guess what? I don't remember the percentage of businesses that have software that's in the environment that has been purchased that continues to roll over on an annual agreement that they don't know about and they're paying for it. This particular partner of ours had $8,000 a year being spent on software that they weren't aware of or didn't know about and were not using. What's $8,000? I don't know about you, but if I'm in the SMB space, $8,000 is a lot of money, right? So again, whether it's software or it's hardware or it's risk management or the kind of vendors that you work with, I just think that what we're going to see this year, there's going to have to be a better communication between risk managers and IT infrastructure teams and really talk about what this looks like. Jason, thank you so much. It was really great to spend time with you. Looking forward to seeing you at our 25th celebration, if not sooner. We're going to retreat to the green room because I'm sure Angie's going to want to say something that's even funnier that she can't say live because, I don't know, she just can't say it. But you know what? There it is, Angie. One of those dialogue boxes yet again. See?
Did we get questions? Did we get a question?
Well, no, there was a statement. Angie is always mean to Joe. That's in the private chat. So I what can I say? Here we go.